More earnings are expected this week on Wall Street with a preview of what's to come. We've got our very own Josh Schafer here in studio with us. Josh, great to have you as always. Are we still doing the broadening conversation here? Is that the big narrative heading into earnings?
The broadening is definitely the big narrative heading into earnings, right? I mean, when you take a look at how the market's reacted over the last couple of days, Maddie, we've seen significant evidence of that broadening, right? You've had the equal weight S&P 500 outperforming the actual S&P 500. The Russell 2000's been rallying more than the S&P 500. So I think that's sort of the broad trend going into earnings is, other than big tech, will other sectors show earnings growth and perhaps more earnings growth and earnings surprises than expected? That was what Callie Cox over at Ritholtz Wealth Management told me this morning is kind of her number one thing she's watching is, are those companies going to beat and surprise outside of the tech sector? But I wanted to dig in a little bit on just this week and sort of what we're watching this week. So we obviously have Netflix coming out. Netflix, to me, in this last couple earnings cycles, has kind of been a good test for companies that have been outperforming, tech companies that have been outperforming, that sort of have high bars and their stock has already run up a lot. So it's been interesting just to simply watch how investors react to Netflix's report. Netflix can have a great report, but that doesn't necessarily mean the stock gets bid up. And maybe that tells us a little bit about sort of risk appetite with the stock near an all-time high. Are people going to want to drive it higher? Perhaps you saw that maybe a little bit with Goldman Sachs this morning. Pretty good report. Stock's up about 1.5% the last time I checked, but the stock's been ripping, right, over the last month. So that's something to kind of think about coming into this. And then the other two reports that I think are going to be interesting this week is you've got ASML and you have Taiwan Semi. You remember back to April, both of those companies had disappointing reports by Wall Street standards. The stocks fell, and semiconductors actually got hit. That was when NVIDIA fell several days in a row in April. The market, it was actually the most recent market bottom, and it kind of was this sentiment scare of, oh no, is the AI narrative in trouble?
Yeah.
Of course, NVIDIA reported, and that was not the case.
Right.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch. That's about midweek here, I think, on Wednesday, and it'll just be interesting to watch if that is something that we sort of get attached to again, that narrative of these early chip companies, and does that mean something for the AI trade? Last quarter, it didn't end up mattering. It mattered for a couple days, but when the actual real chip company we cared about reported, it didn't matter. So I don't know if that will perhaps play into it this quarter, but it's certainly in a week of sort of, we're starting to get a little bit busier, but it's not that busy with earnings. I think that might be one of the top things I'm watching.
And we already know that NVIDIA has increased their orders for specific parts of what goes into a chip, right? The wafers, for example. So that's definitely a bullish indicator for TSMC moving forward. And the stock has certainly had a great year. I'm taking a look now at the stock over the course of the past year here for TSMC. That stock is up over 85%. So
another stock that's had a good run going into earnings, right? And sometimes
the bar is high.
The bar is high is the takeaway, I think, going into earnings. Everyone's talking about that high bar.
The bar and the broadening. Those are the two B's for you this earnings cycle, guys. All right, Josh, thank you so much as always for joining us. We really do appreciate it.